I'm not sure how to begin. My family has suffered as a result of my actions. My children do not want to be in the same room with me because my spouse is leaving. My sister encouraged me to post here in the hopes of receiving assistance. Putting this on paper took a lot of labor. I've been lying to myself for weeks to make myself appear better in this tale while sobbing. I can only be honest with myself. What hope is there? I'm in a foul mood, so this is a little disjointed. I apologize ahead of time for the wall of garbage. It's 38 degrees outdoors. My hubby is 39 years old. We have 4 children, 15 to 8 years, and I've been with him since I was 16. We've been married for 18 beautiful years. I slept with someone. For a time, it felt fantastic. Looking back, I realized that it was all a dream. Just a dream. I can't put into words how horrible I feel about what I've done right now. It aches to look at myself in the mirror. No one likes me, not even my sister, who was the only person willing to take me in. My sister also cheats. Her fiancé also ended their relationship as a result of this. Still, she constantly shouts at me and refers to me as a piece of S. She swiftly knew about my affair. She warned me that if I did not stop immediately and reveal the truth, awful things would happen. I didn't realize that I was too preoccupied with myself to listen to her because I was too selfish and foolish. So I did not want to quit. Then she cut me off from her till she brought me back. My spouse has filed for divorce and no longer communicates with me. I don't know how or if I can repair this. He promised to talk to me 3 days ago, but he has yet to show up. I agree with him. I seriously injured him. I wounded him. That would include my family, my children, and myself. I wish I could just disappear and relieve their suffering. I loathe myself so much that all I do is lie in bed and gaze at the ceiling. When there is stillness, my heart seems to want to escape my body. I experience panic episodes that make it difficult for me to breathe. When I fall asleep, I am unable to consume much. In my nightmares, I witness how much suffering my spouse is in and how he stares at me without loving eyes. The doctor I've been seeing believes this began for me around 3 years ago. My dearest buddy from school died unexpectedly due to cancer. She never married. She had a pretty glamorous life because she was a partner in a legal firm. I have always looked up to her. My career in marketing is satisfactory, and I was a stay-at-home parent for a long period while our children were tiny. The finest period of my life was spent with my children. Following my friend's death, I began to reflect on my life, focusing on the things I had not accomplished. I got quite harsh on myself. I began to feel horrible about myself. My confidence dipped significantly. I had just been with my spouse, and I grew to resent him for it. It seemed as if he had rejected my wishes for love and new adventures. In fact, I twisted it around in my head. I was the one who went after him. The most important things to me were marriage and family. I believed my life might have been better, have more experiences and accomplish more. I discovered a method to blame my hubby for everything. It's not like I told him about it. I knew it was dumb, deep down. Still, I became irritated and gradually pushed my spouse away. I had no cause to feel like this. My hubby adored and cared for me. Children who are happy and healthy. Good work. Excellent sex life. Pastimes. Good health. Have a wonderful trip. Hello, buddies. A large family and the business is doing well. Most of the time, my life was wonderful. It wasn't ideal, but about this time, my younger sister got engaged. She used to party a lot when she was younger, and her fiancé was awesome. I felt awful for her because I thought she had a better life than me. He split up with my sister because she cheated on him before they married. She was broken up. Only now, having been in her shoes, can I comprehend what she is saying. It became quite significant to me that she was cheating. I started dreaming about it and thinking about it. So around 7 months ago, I began flirting with a younger married buddy. It immediately developed into a passionate connection. I liked being noticed. He appeared to know exactly what to say. It was insane for the first 2 months. It was such a fantastic experience. During this time, I completely forgot about my spouse and family. I refused to let my spouse get close to me, and I was nasty to him. I was upset with him for something I was doing. I believed he was to blame for my guilt. When I think about it now, I realize how much I wounded him. I could tell how much suffering he was experiencing. I disregarded pain at the moment. I recall how harsh he was when he attempted to get me back. But at the time, I was able to convince myself that what I was doing was correct. I deserved it. I feel that everyone should be happy with me. I was able to convince myself that this affair was right. I simply cared about myself and what was best for me. In roughly 2 months, the relationship progressed from mental to sexual. It wasn't perfect, but it was acceptable. My AP was an incredibly selfish lover. Though I was still enthused about the emotional romance, it gradually faded when it became physical. I kept making out with her. I wanted to experience that first rush again. The AP, on the other hand, helped me feel less hurried as time passed. We never had a genuine or strong emotional connection. It was all a lie. I still felt I loved him, however. I was also becoming increasingly unhappy with what I was doing. I shouted at my spouse. For some reason, I blamed him for how I felt and treated him badly. After that, I felt awful about what I had done. I also blamed him for it and was harsh to him as a result. After 2 months of the affair, I noticed a significant shift in my husband's behavior. He stopped attempting to build a relationship. He stopped dating me in minor ways. He would leave me love notes all over the place. He would almost always go out of his way to make me grin or laugh. He would always kiss me, hold me, and make this pleasant sound. I stopped being a part of his life after he said that. I couldn't even get him to respond to me. When I had to work late, he would prepare my favorite dishes. He didn't even set a plate for me when he prepared dinner for everyone else. He solely cooked for himself and the children. I attempted to talk to him about it, but he simply left the home without saying anything. I did not want to agree with it. I didn't believe it at the time, but now I see he had severed all relations with us. Following that, things soon deteriorated with AP. Nonetheless, it took about a month before I broke up with my AP. It seems strange, but I haven't wanted to contact him again. I began attending to therapy by myself. He or she very much lay everything out for me. It still did not struck me. I would not speak the truth. I began anxiously attempting to contact my hubby. I still could not believe it. I was able to convince myself that he would return to me if I was a nice wife. My spouse eventually lost interest, but I convinced myself that he would reconsider. I hoped that getting back together with my spouse would alleviate my severe guilt. I assumed things would improve and we'd be stronger than ever. He'd never know the full truth about how I deceived him. I would dress up the way he loves, clean the house like crazy, attempt to strike up a discussion, and prepare his favorite dish. I can think of anything. It did not work. Even if I tried to touch his hand, he would jerk away. My hubby didn't look at me too much. He left the house frequently. When I tried to talk to him, he would usually ignore me. If he responded, it would be something along the lines of "I don't care." After that, he would just depart. I knew my spouse had died. Prior to this, I refused to accept it. Every time he looked at me, his eyes were filled with love. He adored looking at me and would just grin for a long time. I no longer felt love in his eyes when I gazed at them, and he rarely glanced at me. I was able to convince myself that everything would be well. It was not yet time for me to cry. When I arrived home a few weeks ago, my spouse was in the kitchen. He had been smiling for quite some time. I don't recall much of what we talked about when I sat down, but I did understand that my husband had been aware of the affair for quite some time. At the end of his statement, he informed me that we should seek a divorce, implying that he expected me to feel the same way. All at once, I realized what I had done. I was having difficulty breathing. I had difficulty seeing. I couldn't put together coherent concepts or words. I couldn't tell you how long we chatted, but my sister arrived to get me. We spoke during the automobile journey. I had no idea what she said. I think I was stunned. After a few days, my spouse came to speak with me. I couldn't stop myself from researching ways to repair a marriage after adultery. I even wrote him a comprehensive apology and provided him with a timetable. I offered him a job and everything else was completely in his favor. He could have everything he wanted at any moment as long as he stayed with me. That timetable was his, but he didn't bother reading it. I told him everything, and for a brief moment, I saw the sorrow on his face again, the same pain I had ignored so many times throughout the affair. I couldn't take that small flash anymore. I could see he was attempting to hide this anguish from me. It made me feel much greater pain. He was nonetheless nice and fair to me, despite the fact that I had not earned it. I had to admit that he no longer loved me while I was sitting there. I could only see grief and a lack of trust. As he battled with me, I could no longer claim that it was not my fault. My spouse no longer trusts me. I'd harm him. He has previously shown kindness and thoughtfulness. Open, full of amusing stuff. The new person I created in front of me was unique. He was an emotional wall who merely desired to move on. He went into excruciating detail about how much I had wounded him and how he would never be the same. He informed me that his love for me had died as a result of the decisions I had made. He wants to date again. He is even thinking about a woman. He doesn't want to cheat like I did, therefore he wants to obtain a divorce immediately. My life is in such horrible shape that I'm not sure how I did it. My family is now fractured, and my children will have to endure the heartache of divorce and growing up in a broken house. After that, I passed out and ended up in the hospital. My spouse was not present, but my sister was. This shattered my heart even more. When I awoke, I phoned everyone and explained what I had done. I contacted the app's wife, his parents are friends of mine, and my boss. I also gave up my job. I phoned almost everyone I could think of. Everyone hates me now, and I deserve it. My spouse is still refusing to talk to me. I harmed my children, broke up with the love of my life, and dismantled my family. Why is that? Some inexpensive thrills. I have no clue how I could accomplish this. How do I talk to my husband? How should I ask him to do that? Is it possible for me to face my children again? What do I say to them? I really need to address this, but I'm not sure where to start. Is this even possible? I don't know where I am. I am lost. There is no way out for me.